Hmm. I want to bring in Reverend Jeff Hood. He is Michael Smith's spiritual advisor, and he plans to be at the execution on April the 4th, and he's a friend of the show. Thanks, Reverend Hood, for being on. You know, he seemed pretty calm in the conversation that he had with our Chris Maloney, who was doing the interview there. And it seemed as though he is fixated on the fact that he's still going to fight and hasn't sort of come to terms with the dying part. And I'm just wondering if it hasn't hit him yet, or if that is just sort of standard preservationist. It's just self-preservationist for everybody in his shoes.
Well, thank you, Ashley, for having me. As always, it's an interesting moment. I mean, we're talking about someone who the state plans to kill in a little bit more than a month, and the question, of course, is, what would you think about? I think all of us would think about, how do we preserve life? I mean, you meet people who have cancer or any other sorts of illnesses. They are doing what they can to try to preserve life, and that's exactly what he's doing. I see this with a lot of guys that I work with, as you well know, that worked with guys all over the country doing this work. 5 guys in the last 14 months who have been executed. Michael is obviously there's a lot going on in this case, but Michael is someone who I think is really trying to fill his life, whatever life he has left, with life.
So the evidence is overwhelming. I know he is trying to, have us believe that he falsely confessed to the police and then to other people, and that there's a witness who saw him. I think there was blood evidence as well of the victim's blood in his home. I mean, it is very overwhelming. But it's hard if you're on the fence about the death penalty. It's hard to feel sorry for him. It's also hard for people who are against the death penalty to feel like this is the right kind of punishment for someone, because it's, who are we to take a life? Isn't that God's job, However, does he believe truly, like, has he convinced himself, do you think, that he's innocent? Because I think OJ killed those people. I just think OJ's convinced himself he's innocent.
That is a incredibly complicated question for all of these guys, but specifically for Michael Smith. I think that he truly believes that he didn't do this. He has told me that he didn't do this. He's claimed repeatedly that he didn't do this. It's up to the state to prove that he did do it. And obviously, we've gone through all of the appeals. He's gone through trial. I think one of the problems with this process is these things that he's claiming that haven't been litigated. There are procedural bars to them being litigated. So, for instance, if he claims that there is new evidence, or if new evidence is found, that's not stuff that can be brought forward at this stage of the game. But I will say this.
Yeah.
I think for all of my guys that I work with, whether they're guilty, whether they're innocent, whether they're somewhere in between, the bottom line is, if we continue to perpetuate murder, we're going to get murder. And so it is my prayer and my work that we look at someone like Michael Smith and we restrain ourselves. Because if we don't, there will be more killers and more killing.
It's interesting how this country is 50-50. It's also interesting that he wouldn't answer if he wasn't the guy who did the killings, what should happen to the guy who did? Oh, well, I wouldn't meet this out on anyone, which was pretty fascinating. Jeff, I hope you'll come back again.
Always. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.